is 6 Protoss and 2 Terran. All those NA Zergs shuffled in to Group B just by the luck of the draw. But this ought to be a really good one. I think Future, by far the favored player right now, Grant.
Yes.
We should be on Oxide LE. And why don't you introduce our first player?
Yeah, first player in the bottom left. I'm not sure why I've changed locations. He is the blue Terran player representing North America. It is PureLegacy.
And you're on my camera for this one, right, Grant?
I am now. Yeah.
Attaboy. In the top right-hand side, in the red, representing Alpha X, our second Golden Dragon on the stream in a row here, hoping to follow up in his teammates' footsteps and win the series. He is Future. Future of Terran, who has the best Twitter bio in the entire
What does it
world.
say?
Unless he's changed it lately. Oh, I don't want to get the quote wrong. Hang on,
Okay,
Twitter.com. Look up Future of Terran because it's so worth it, Grant. It's so worth it.
Okay.
Joe's Twitter bio is, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I exhale the yellow smoke of Buddha through righteous steps.
Give me shivers.
Isn't that freaking incredible, man? That's
Ooh.
like some hero stuff. Like the bad guy's about to slice him in half, and he's like, "What do you have to say for yourself, scum?" He's like, I exhaled. So good, man. He's such a
pretty
cool
good.
dude. I'm looking forward to this series. A TVT, always a banger, Grant. I know it's some people's least favorite mirror matchup, but you know that it's my
your favorite. Yeah.
mirror matchup. I think there's nothing like the chess match of a good, solid late game TVT.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to say we're going to have a proper late game TVT here. PureLegacy in the games we've seen of him has been an aggressor, and I think Future is the kind of player who will look to eke out a lead early and probably capitalize in the mid game. That's the way I see him play. He's very good at everything. He's sort of a very good all-round North American Terran player, and this is a good opportunity for him to get 2 well-needed maps on the board. We do see command centers coming down quicker for PureLegacy here. It looks like Future wants to scout first, which I don't dislike by any means. He'll throw that down that little bit later, as he did get his factory sooner.
Great trade-off here, early game TVT. It's going to be a little bit different. There's a really interesting article by you were familiar with Terran Craft, right?
I am.
Yeah, Max, you over there writing some incredible articles. If you guys don't know what Terrancraft is, check it out for sure. But he has a very fascinating article about, oh my god, this is cool now. He's got a really cool article about convergence points where he talks a little about how Terran builds are slightly different, but sometimes that doesn't really matter because at certain points you're going to all come together with basically the same stuff. And it doesn't matter about how you get there. So the convergence point can get there eventually, but this bunker going down is actually really, really interesting. Future getting some good RNG with the SCV building. If this bunker finishes up, this game might end. Oh my god, the SCV picked off at the last second. Very, very close though.
I'm afraid I don't think it matters, Clayton. 5 SCVs just died to 1 and then a second Reaper. That's a standard opening, unfortunately, for Future. He's not done either. He's going to come in with a Reaper grenade. He might get a Marine or 2. Not going to overcommit, trying to keep his units alive. I think we do have a third Reaper that's gone down into the natural to slow that down further. I know it's a Hellion. So now he's even sending his first few units, and this is forcing PureLegacy to get more and more Hellions. He's getting a very early medevac, probably going to go for a Hellion drop here. Yeah, that is what it is. But, I mean, Future's seen everything, right? He knows exactly what he's playing against. He's up 6 workers in 3.5 minutes. Just a perfect start here for Future.
Yeah, and PureLegacy just doesn't seem to quite have the chops to keep up with Future there. Man, if that bunker had finished, I agree, Grant, that would have been game over in the natural. As it was, he got very fortunate. The SCV took a fortunate building pattern onto the left-hand side. There's not very much RNG in StarCraft, but that's one of the very tiny numbers of RNG is where that SCV goes to build its bunker. So a bit of fortuitous luck there for PureLegacy, who gets out of a jam, but as you said, still a little bit behind, and now he's relying on this drop for the Hellions to get some damage done.
It's a big reliance too. This has to find something. We do have medevacs that look like they're going to cross paths in the middle of the map. Both of them seeing the other one here, and that gives enough information easily for Future. He's now just going to reposition his army into his main. He has a Cyclone about to pop that can push back these Hellions and the Widowmine, and there's a tank in this, which means this natural is going to be abandoned. There's nothing to deal with a tank.
Yeah,
this
he's in a bit of
has
trouble
to do
here.
huge damage.
Medevac going to get picked off as well by the Cyclone, which means it's a matter of time now before these Hellions in Future's base get taken care of. Meanwhile, Future's tank and the Marines getting a lot done. Double Viking popping out, which is a very unusual choice here for PureLegacy. He's going to get cleaned up. 9 SCVs go down, but unfortunately, PureLegacy is going to lose his natural, Grant. So even though he does even up the worker count just a little bit, it's still not a great opener here for PureLegacy.
With the tank coming out, I don't think he loses the natural. The Vikings are going to be enough here to stabilize. Oh my god, he's going to get the tank. This is just going from bad to worse for PureLegacy. He did do a lot of damage, and that is quite nice, killing 9 workers, but he's still behind. And he's not been able to mine from his natural forever. As you can see, Future's got the gas. He's almost fully saturated. He traded relatively even in the front there. If we look at resources lost this game, it's not even necessarily looking awful for PureLegacy, but he lost so much so early on that the snowball effect means he's in a world of trouble right now.
I mean, keep in mind, PureLegacy picked off 9 SCVs in Future's main with that Hellion run by, and he's still behind by about 6 workers. And some of you might be like, wait, well, 6 workers is not that much, right? It's fine. Think of that as a percentage, guys. 6 workers out of 30 is, wait, math, 20% of his workers,
wow.
Which is huge. It's a big advantage for Future. And Future, of course, the player who's going to be able to grab that advantage and move forward. He's the strongest Terran player, I think, certainly in this group. And against PureLegacy, a player who's making his debut appearance in the ESL DreamHack series overall.
Yeah, I mean, he'll have a lot to learn from this. Of course, it's always nice to even make it this far. You are making some money for getting here. PureLegacy is still really struggling with workers here. It's taken him a long time. He's got a lot of gas coming in, which is going to be nice because he's playing... No, he is getting an eBay, so he isn't playing mech. But look how far behind things like his stim pack is, and... I don't know, man.
Yeah. PureLegacy does have a 3rd base down slightly earlier than his opponent. Future just starting his 3rd now. And of course, PureLegacy already working on Orbital Command of the main. So that might help him get back in just a little bit. But of course, it leaves him vulnerable to some timing pushes here. And look at the unit counting station, Grant. We've got 4 Vikings to 4, which is great for PureLegacy. He's got 3 tanks, but 0 of anything else. It is basically, as you said, practically pure mech at this point, as he's not been building anything out of those barracks.
Yeah, and the barracks have not produced anything, don't have any upgrades, and there are a lot of Vikings, but there's a lot of there's a Raven with a lot of energy as well now moving in towards PureLegacy's base. Future scans, sees everything here, sees no Marines, and must be thinking, what the heck? It is mech. It is mech. He is building a 2nd factory. So PureLegacy going to be doing something funky here, but this is going to be difficult. The Vikings can't come too far forward, of course, because the Marines will punish. PureLegacy has a very nice defensive setup for now. This one Marine is... I mean, can you imagine? You're told to run forward and stand there whilst the tank just shoots you, and you survive the first one. You're like missing an arm, missing a leg, and you're like, I'm okay. Just book a flesh wound, and they're like, yeah, stay there. You're like, oh.
Poor guy. He's a true hero. He knows what's happening. Poor guy. I will say, PureLegacy going for this sort of turtly mech style is actually going to pay off fairly well for him. Marines, of course, in small numbers, not super useful if you're in a mech. And a good snipe on that Raven initially. That's going to give PureLegacy a very nice start in this fight. The tanks trying to draw anything into their fire, but right now these tanks for Future on the low ground completely feckless as PureLegacy gets a nice. Feckless is the word. Completely feckless. As PureLegacy gets a nice trade there, it actually ends up significantly ahead in the resources lost now.
Yeah. PureLegacy's doing good, but the problem behind this is he is still down 9 workers in a mirror matchup. He is still being contained quite heavily. Now his 3rd is under siege as well. Landed Vikings too, just because he doesn't want to take a Viking fight at this point. The tanks will take so long to kill the other tanks because he can't move too far forward. And all of the Vikings moving forward was... that was a miss rally, but 5 more workers went down despite all of this. And Future's not playing this well, I'm going to say, with all the love in the world. But PureLegacy is in too rough a position, I think.
Yeah, this has been very questionable decision from Future right now. Engaging with 2 Vikings against 8. Landing all his Vikings early to conceding complete air control to PureLegacy. PureLegacy losing 10, 11 SCVs in the transfers there, though. Yeah. That's a bit of a dopey move as well. Both these guys with some really rookie mistakes, which is just a darn shame because these players have fought long and hard to get to DreamHack Summer. And to see them engaging in these fights in such a rookie manner is a bit disappointing overall. I really hope that the Future can spin his now new economic advantage into an... Oh, God, PureLegacy, please. Please, God, no. Oh, jeez.
I mean, they didn't have an escape. And in the end, we did see landed Vikings drawing the fire from the tanks, which is cute. Liberator coming in from PureLegacy, I like, because this is a purely tank-based composition, and Terrans can't recall. You are going to see them all unsiege and try and leg it here to get away. The rest of Future's army is now making their way across the map as well, but throughout this, 19 SCVs died, Creighton. That is too many. How many SCVs have died in total? PureLegacy has lost 28 in a 10-minute game.
That's way too many, Grant. Again, even though Future had a great contain and botched it there, he's able to pull out by a counter mistake on PureLegacy's point. These are a lot of unforced errors here in a TVT, and this is not a match of COD. Speaking of unforced errors, yikes. Future not paying attention. They're going to lose a crap ton of army supply, forcing him to move back. That was everything he had on the ground, Grant. He resets now to 7 Marines and 8 Marauders. Just a very, very slow game from both these players. A game that I think both players, either player probably could have ended 5-10 minutes ago. I mean, 10 minutes ago when it started. But, you know.
10 minutes isn't that far from the truth, to be honest with you, after the start of this game. Future still has all of his tanks, or the vast majority of his tanks. He's still sitting at 5. PureLegacy is at 8, of course. But a lot of Marauders coming into the fray here. 2-2 upgrades on the way for our red Protoss player. +1 is about 25% done here for our blue Protoss player, who is going to be getting, that's the Banshee upgrade, right?
No, that's the Smart Servos upgrade, which allows the Hellbats and Vikings to transition a little bit more quickly.
That's the one.
Interesting choice there. Obviously, with a lot of Vikings, he's concerned that the 8 Vikings aren't going to do too much against the 0 Vikings of Future, who is now leaning more heavily into his bio style. Grant. He's down to just a fair few tanks, but is adding on more and more barracks and a lot more Marines and Marauders.
Yeah, sitting still up in supply. Worker count is evened out now. My concern going forward is going to, of course, be the upgrades. There is a pretty hefty upgrade advantage right now for Future. His 2-2 is halfway done. He's going to be up 2-2 against just +1 weapons. And that means these Marauders specifically will be very, very chunky boys. They're going to be able to take some tank fire and then dish out huge amounts to those armored units as well. Armory on the way as well. Here's a second armory for Future, of course, it must be, so he can start producing a lot of mech units himself, moving into a Raven-inspired late game. Nice counter-attack here from PureLegacy will be cleaned up, gets a couple of workers, probably not as good as it could have been if the shots were marred up there, but a strange game, Creighton, strange game.
Very unusual, to be certain. You know, Future, I think both Future and PureLegacy, obviously if Future was invited to this event because of his stellar performances at the previous DreamHacks. PureLegacy qualified all the way through the open and closed brackets for North America. So neither of these players is here because their uncle is a president at Blizzard or they know somebody at StarCraft. Like, they're both genuinely very good players. Just seems like the opening caught both of them a little bit off guard, a little bit off their footing. Hopefully things will stabilize a little bit, and as you said, we'll go into that long game where I think you're absolutely correct. Future looking to go for a lot of Vikings and control the skies with Vikings and Ravens, and PureLegacy sticking doggedly to that mech, adding on more starports of his own.
Yeah, I think a 2-2 timing attack has some potential here from Future. His 2-2 has now completed, and he is out on the map. I don't know if he's going to commit. It is hard to commit into mech. We do see a very large mechanical army moving forward right now. If these Marauders could catch these tanks, it would be huge. In fact, we are going to see the retreat here from Future as he was not able to siege up in time, and of course he has no air control. So he has to use scans consistently here in order to get his tanks to get any shots off. Both players here just trading scans to keep track of the army. This is strange. PureLegacy really could win this game.
Yeah, especially if these tanks, if this Marines and Marauder ball gets caught in a bunch of sieged up tanks, the two armies now going to pass each other. I think there's a lack of scans going on. Oh no, pardon me. Future does scan PureLegacy, so Future's going to try and get in and force PureLegacy out of position. He moves those tanks over. The tanks do siege up, but that slows PureLegacy down just a little bit in Future. Could push you to that fourth base if he wants to. I guess he's scared of the Hellbats and of course these siege tanks on the ramp here. Very nice movement patterns by Future there, but he can't quite find the damage that he needs. PureLegacy has too many siege tanks around.
18, Creighton. 18 siege tanks.
Chimney Christmas.
PureLegacy has right now 16 Vikings. We do see 12 here for Future. He is trying to get back some control of the air, but right now PureLegacy is really storming forward. He's got a strong army. Oh, this is too many tanks to throw away, Future. You cannot throw away 5 tanks like this.
Yeah, especially not when you're going to lose 1 and make it 2 command centers up at the 12 o'clock. The Viking battle might go in Future's favor, which is great. Those Vikings relatively unuseful as the siege tanks take out 15 SCVs.
That shouldn't have
Future's
happened.
going to tap out Grant, and PureLegacy grabs game number 1. That was ugly.
That shouldn't have happened, I'm afraid, Creighton. Future was so far ahead off of the opening. So far ahead off of the opening. He had considerably more workers. We're talking at points almost double. But, I mean, I'm looking at the graphs right now, and he was a good 8, 9, 10 ahead the entire game. He just allowed... I mean, I think the biggest problem in that game was when he lost that double drop, because if that had gone through, production facilities would have been absolutely annihilated. But PureLegacy gets his first map of the tournament. That's a great result for him.
Yeah, it really is in Future. It's only at 1-1 right now. PureLegacy, of course, at 0-2. But Future only at 1-1 right now. And if he drops to a 1-2 record, as we said earlier, it's very difficult to claw yourself out of that position. Remember, these players only going to play about 7 total matches. The players will play exactly 7 total matches. Going 1-2 means you've got to win 3 out of your next 4. It's a very difficult position to put yourself in. And I'll be frank, Grant, I think Future is the better player than PureLegacy, not only over time, but just in recent memory. Future's been a little bit more on top of things. Disappointing to see him throw away such a significant lead in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was sloppy. He made a lot of mistakes there. Now, PureLegacy has just asked for around 2 minutes for a break just to get his thoughts together and to break that game down. It was, of course, a very, very stressful game, a stressful experience, to say the least, to have a game like that, where in his head he probably was thinking about map 2 after he lost 5-6 workers to 2 Reapers. It shouldn't have been the case. Wild.
Yeah. Rough. I think that's one of those matches where we as casters are going to have to do the same thing that the players do, Grant, which is just sort of crumple up that last game, pull the last game out of your brain, crumple it up, and toss it in the wastebasket, and hopefully set your sights on a new, fresh canvas for game number 2. Of course, that canvas is going to be 2,000 atmospheres, LE, Grant, 2K Atmos. One of our 3 new maps in the pool, and I think very quickly becoming a fan favorite and a player favorite as well.
Yeah, it follows a very traditional style of sort of a zigzaggy map with rocks that can break it down to make the cross distance a little bit closer. Easy to get a 3rd base, difficult to get a 4th base, but if you do get a 4th, then it's quite rewarding. Just a really good map. I really like the design. We've talked about this a lot, of course, created by The Music 246, Creighton, for the Team Liquid map contest. I can't wait to see more maps of him with the new TLMC, Shopify, and ESL partnership. It's going to be very exciting to see all of those maps coming out. But yeah, it's just insane. I'm shook by that first game.
As you mentioned, the new map tournament coming out. That's very exciting. Big news from Shopify and Team Liquid putting out the new maps. We don't know specifically what they're going to be used for, if they're guaranteed Demon Ladder or not. But you know me, Grant, I run my own map tournament every now and again. I have close relations with a lot of the map making community, and I can tell you they are. We talk about how smart the players are. We talk about how smart some of the talent is. But my God, if you want the absolute big wrinkle brain nerds of StarCraft, it's the map makers. They know absolutely everything, and they are so talented creating the experiences that we have here in StarCraft 2. So I am so jazzed about the Team Liquid map contest, and hopefully we'll get some good stuff. But until we have new maps, Grant, we're on 2K Atmos, which is going to be fantastic. A full reset. Let's wipe the last game from our minds and just say that Future's down 0-1. The last game happened, but we're going to think about this game now on 2K Atmos with Future and PureLegacy in Group A of DreamHack North America.
Now, I'm not sure how I would address this game if I was Future. I think the early game, he played perfectly. There's no other way to put it. He found so much from so little. Whereas PureLegacy, if he cleans up his early game, he's just shown that if he plays mech, Future cannot handle it. So maybe he just needs to stabilize in the beginning, and this could be a 2-0.
Which would be, I think, a shocking and very surprising result. You know, of the 2 Terran players in Group A, Future is, I think, widely regarded to be the favorite to move on in either, I'd say probably 2nd, 3rd, or 4th place. I think the first 2 spots probably going to be held by some of the more popular and talented players in Group A. I mean, we're looking at a group that has Estrella, Pili, Mina. Those are going to be some of the big names, but Future certainly has a spot here. But man, if he loses this one and goes to 1-2, it's going to make this whole group real ugly. Let's talk about his opponent, though, the first player who's trying to get him here in game number 2, representing the United States of America. He's our blue Terran player. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for PureLegacy.
And his opponent in the bottom left of 2000 Atmo, he is the red Terran player representing the Golden Dragons Alpha X. It is Future.
Alpha X with some good results, Grant. They have just been such a boon for the NA scene. I mean,
massive.
If you open up the Liquipedia page, type !bracket in the chat, folks. That'll give you all the information that you need about this tournament. And look at the players. There are 4 Alpha X players in this event: Estrella, Future, Vindicta, and Trigger. And now there are also 5 players on the newly formed Psystorm Gaming that has just eaten up Team Exxon, merging today. Counting all of the Exxon players in the tournament and the Psystorm players, it's Namshar, Jon Snow, Epic Masa, and Nina. Between those two players, a plurality, in fact, a majority of our players are either on Alpha X or Psystorm Gaming. What a cool time to be an NA StarCraft fan.
PureLegacy, interesting here. He did go for a quick scout on his way to scout. He checked for any proxies and didn't see any. He's now going to go in and see that it is all very normal. Does see the factory coming down and will feel pretty content. He himself has gone for that CC on the high ground as his Reaper floats upwards to infinity and beyond. So very safe opening from PureLegacy. And what did I say when we started? He needs to adjust a little bit here because his early game was very sloppy in map 1. He lost his initial Reaper and then he lost 5 workers or something dumb. This game ain't gonna happen. Instead, keeping that CC on the high ground, keeping his Reaper at home, and just very much preparing to go into a mid game.
Which I think is smart. He looked pretty good in the mid game there, and I'll be honest, Future didn't look like he was on top of his game, especially the mid game of the last fight. He set up a contain and then just let it get blown to smithereens. He tried to put some pressure on, couldn't find any damage, and then was unable to defend against a massive tank push at the end. So I don't blame PureLegacy for playing a slow burn here and trying to make something happen. We'll see if these two Reapers can get anything done, though. He should have a mild advantage, maybe pick off a few SCVs.
Yeah, it would be nice if he could find this damage once again, but this time he is only going to get the 1, correct? Yeah, just, oh no, 2 SCVs have died in total. This isn't by any means as bad as it was in game 1. I think PureLegacy can be happy with this. He's down a couple of SCVs, but his command center was quicker. It's already nearly an orbital, and when all is said and done, he'll have a few extra seconds. It's probably better for Future. We take a look at the supply and things, and Future is already working on Medivacs. Of course, PureLegacy has only just finished his starport. I think PureLegacy's going for another Hellion drop, though. Oh no, he's going Raven straight away. Okay.
Interesting, and that's of course very classical in TVT, Grant. We didn't get a chance to talk about it a little bit because Future's Raven died so quickly in the last game of that Viking pressure. But Raven first is almost, I'd say, fairly much more common in TVT. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Future swapping over to build a Raven now. Oh wow, he's not going to. I'm surprised. You want to get that Raven out early so it builds up plenty of energy and is good for not only interference matrices on tank pushes, but also for the auto turret harass or even the Dorito dust cannon on big numbers of Vikings in the air. Yeah, it's such a key unit. Future is going for the drop he went for last game with a tank and 4 Marines, and there's not a lot really to deal with a siege tank right now, except for that bad boy, and this Raven could automatically drop an interference matrix. The tank is going to come in, it's not going to be able to siege up straight away, it's going to be forced to retreat here. Great defense from PureLegacy. He's really cleaned up his early game, as I mentioned, and as long as he doesn't make any huge mistakes here, he's going to be able to move up into most likely his mech-based build. I'd be surprised to see him go a different way. Oh god, actually, did he just make a big mistake? Yeah, a bit of weird movement there from Future, who got his Reaper up into the main base, which distracted the Hellions, and he basically led the Hellions into the main base with his Reaper, and then moved his drop up into the main base as well. Usually he want to distract the opponent to a different location and then drop somewhere where they're not already going. So I think a bit of a mistake there from Future, who's now being tracked by a Raven, and I think he's just being super annoying right now because PureLegacy has nothing to shoot up with. That Raven has no energy, so keeping him back at home for as long as he can while he gets his Vikings in position. Looks like Future, very similar to last game, Grant, going for a concave, going for a hold, and going for a bit of a contain on PureLegacy.
Yeah, he's got a pretty hefty army here, of course. It does look like PureLegacy has opted for that 3rd base as well, so he really doesn't have a huge amount in terms of production coming in right now. The Hellions doing a good job against the Marines. That auto turret coming out. Oh, going to force the micro here for Future. Very cute. But the Vikings going to win here for PureLegacy. He's going to push this back with ease.
And not the fight that Future was looking for. And again, Grant, so sloppy from Future, giving away 2 of his Vikings for free. Yes, he microed his tanks back, but they still got a lot of damage before he was able to pick up on the medevac and get out of here. And now PureLegacy has the tanks out. He's got the defense outside of his natural, and he finds himself in a great spot. And the opening, this high ground area between the 2nd and the 3rd base on 2K Atmos is not large enough to really siege up if there are already tanks outside the natural. PureLegacy's in a perfect spot. Now, Future's got to go back home.
Yeah, PureLegacy will be adding on, I imagine, Factories 2 and 3 very shortly. He is almost certainly going to be playing mech as well. We haven't seen any real tech choices coming down yet from our red Terran player, but he does have that tech lab onto the barracks, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Stim there we go, as I'm speaking. More and more tanks, more and more Vikings here for PureLegacy. Future?
Grant, we lost you there for a minute. Sorry,
We
you're
didn't.
almost certain that
Future.
PureLegacy's doing what?
No, did you see what Future did?
No.
He cancelled Stim and took
Wow,
off.
he did. You're right.
He's going mech as well.
Very interesting choice. I think that scan showing that his opponent was going mech, and he feels like he's going to go mech as well. The right choice, I think. You know, Bio does suffer against mech, especially when you don't quite have the control that some of those top-tier Korean pros do to snipe tanks and get the interference matrices off perfectly. I like this bold play from Future, but again, he finds himself ahead in workers, but I think behind tempo-wise, Grant, as PureLegacy's third, already down.
Yeah, PureLegacy he's happy to play this nice and slow as well, right? He doesn't mind being behind in workers. We saw it in the last game because he did play mech very well. He was able to slow push. He did take some very good fights, and Future's sloppiness in mech, you cannot be sloppy against mech. If you are playing mech, this could be a very, very long game. God.
What time is it there in the UK for you, Grant?
It is 20 minutes until 11 p.m. and we have 2 more series.
Wow.
I go to bed at 9 p.m. So...
This could be a lot of fun. Maybe it'll be short, though, as the Vikings engage here, Grant. I love that Medevac soaking up a couple extra shots before PureLegacy's able to refocus onto the Vikings, but it looks like the Viking count going to be in PureLegacy's favor, and Future has to land his Vikings yet again. Luckily, this time, Future does have his tanks in a much better position to get a couple shells down, but the Viking count, again, going in PureLegacy's favor, and Grant, look at what he's building to take advantage of the fact that he's got air superiority immediately.
Yeah, we see Liberators instantly coming in. Magfield Accelerator coming out for Future. Slightly unusual this early. We didn't see PureLegacy. PureLegacy plays a different style of mech, right? He plays Wings of Liberty. He plays Goody mech, which is just Vikings, tanks into Liberators. Liberators is obviously a newer siege unit here, but he's playing a very old school style, which I like. Future's doing okay once again at sort of containing and stuff, but these Vikings could land like right now on those tanks.
Yeah, they definitely could. Those tanks with absolutely no support at all. In fact, the Vikings from Future walking back across. I think PureLegacy was having the exact same thought you were, Brandon. Now Future's realizing, oh, those Vikings could land on my tanks, and he's going to get out of here. Liberator sieging up, pushing him back, and there's the landed Vikings. Let's see if the tanks can get enough damage done. The tanks in good enough numbers can take down the Vikings, but wow, PureLegacy to move forward. And wow, it's an unsieged tank versus unsieged tank. It's like when boxers wear giant Nerf foam boxing gloves.
Yeah, it's a very odd fight. Magfield Accelerator has now finished, so the high beams have been turned on here on those Cyclones. We're seeing double armory coming down here for Future as he continues to work on his mech. The good news is he is playing mech versus mech, and he is very ahead economically. He's mining more minerals and more gas per minute, considerably more gas and a few more minerals. 85 workers, that's a lot. He's still producing free. He's going up to 90 workers in TVT. Wild. And what I'm excited to see in this game is which player tries to transition towards mass air first, because that's sort of where you expect endgame TVT to go.
Exactly, and last game we did see Future getting a bit of a jump on that, building his second and third starport much earlier than PureLegacy. Unfortunately for yeah, he's getting the CC. That's a really nice snag. Very well done there by Future to slow his opponent down. Now, of course, PureLegacy slightly out of position. Only 3 tanks here, and the landed Vikings should probably fly and then re-land on top of the tanks. All right, whatever. Anyway, Future, of course, moved into air production slightly earlier last game, showing that he's slightly ahead. But right now, Grand Focus players focused entirely on their ground game, with extra factories going down for Future. PureLegacy building extra factory and then cancels it right away.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why he's doing that. I think he decided the money is better spent elsewhere, but he has a lot of money in the bank. His macro not quite as clean here as Future's. Production looking pretty good across the board, though. Both players getting a lot of stuff. Magfield Accelerator for PureLegacy as well. He is going to play the newer style of mech with these Cyclones with Hellbats and things. Slightly different to what we saw last game. Here we go. And now he has sort of this very strong mech army that can fight on the front lines and also siege up and play the slow game. This is going to be a very fascinating game. It most likely will be played out quite slowly, but PureLegacy right now is starting to move forward, and if he catches these Cyclones as well, okay, the Cyclones catch him, just gonna.
A cute little flank there, of course, from Future. He's going to try and get on top of these tanks, but once they jaunt right into siege tank range, it's going to be very dangerous. I love that Future's trying to go for the counter attack, or pardon me, the pincer attack, though, rather, spreading that siege tank fire, and the Hellbat actually getting it on top of the tanks, and they're going to roasty toast those siege tank drivers. Oh, God. Somebody call Sergeant Hammer. That was a nightmare.
You say that, Creighton. Look at the battle report.
Yeah.
PureLegacy did more damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still lost too much, though. He lost all his tanks,
Oh.
Grant. He's down. He has 3 tanks now. From how many tanks did he lose that fight? He lost like 4 tanks. That's crazy.
Tanks,
No
yeah,
one loses
but
that
I
many
mean,
tanks.
if you
You're
can
going
hold
mech,
on to
you
this
gotta have
attack,
tank, bro.
yeah,
You gotta
that's
have
true.
tank if you're going mech. The third base going to be under fire here. The Hellbat's going to get on top of the mineral line, and PureLegacy not pulling out. He's got his own Hellions behind us. The Hellbat's going to have the SCVs, and if 5, 10, 15 SCVs go down here, this is going to be a win for Future no matter what.
Yeah. A very strange game once again of these mech styles sort of clashing against each other. Future is still up in supply, but I mean, he's at 98 workers. I'm not sure I'm keen on that when you have 3 orbitals as well, and soon in the game will probably go up more. He's going to have to throw a lot of workers away before this game goes too far. Good news for him, upgrades, Creighton. Look at PureLegacy's upgrades. Oh, wait, he never started them. Starting them as I'm speaking right now. 2 already starting here for Future. Future going to lose some workers. Not a problem. He's got 98.
Yeah, down to 95 workers. Oh no, and he's building
no.
4 more, Grant. 1 shy of 100 workers, which is absolutely abnormal here in a StarCraft 2 match, Grant, and especially abnormal in a Terran versus Terran StarCraft 2 match. This is absolutely insane. Somebody get ready to take a screenshot here of Future at 100 SCVs in a TVT and reap that glorious Reddit karma. There it is. Eat your heart out, kids.
Yeah, that's a lot. A Zerg player you'll often see go up. I've seen Terran players go up this high in the past, but it is a lot. Like a lot. Especially this stage in the game when you do, as I said, want to be moving into a lot of orbitals, so you can scan a lot, hiccup, drop mules a lot. And use their resource, their energy as your income. Excuse me. 2-2 getting close to completing here for PureLegacy. For Future. PureLegacy only getting just +1 weapons.
Yeah, going to be a huge upgrade advantage. And of course, that's very useful. But remember, guys, the Cyclone gets most of its damage from lock-ons, and Cyclone lock-ons are not affected by those upgrades. So it just means that Future Cyclone's going to live a little bit longer. But unfortunately, if he gets caught in a really, really bad retreat like this, PureLegacy is getting a lot done. These Parthian shots for Future simply aren't enough. That was a really bad last half of that fight. Future got some good work done on the front, but PureLegacy snipes off 4 Cyclones and 5 Hellions in the back. They're going to fight again. I don't know if Future should take these fights.
No, because the problem with, yeah, you have great upgrades, but the spellcasting units here, the Cyclones, they are spellcasters. They don't benefit from that extra DPS when they're locked on. That is a set amount of damage. So the Cyclones right now are doing mad work for PureLegacy. He's trading so much more cost efficiently. The problem is, Future kind of can because he has the money. He just can't trade like real bad because he loses this army. And he is losing this army. I wouldn't be surprised to see PureLegacy just keep going. Oh, this is so weird now.
These were some of the most uninspired fights I've seen in a long time, Grant. And we talked a bit about this in game number 1, where these players just don't seem to have a lot of go in them when it comes to an actual fight. Not a lot of micro, not a lot of positioning, very few flanks coming out, and both players seemingly misreading the fights pretty badly. A bit disappointing to see at this level of play in North America. Was really hoping for a bit more action here in the TBT, but I can't complain too much, Grant. We're into 15 minutes. We've already got Corvid Reactor and Ravens coming out as Future begins his transition from this battle mech style that he's got the Cyclones and Hellions out for to an air sky Terran style.
I talk a lot when you play against when there's a Protoss player who's trying to tech, that he has squeaky bum time as you try to make that tech, because you have to slow down your other production in order to make that technology switch. And that is exactly what's happening here. Now, Future's doing a pretty good job of taking an okay fight here, but Hellions really do decent damage. These Blue Flame Hellions are doing a lot of damage, as you can see. They're able to almost one-shot some of these Cyclones. Now, that trade did go better for Future, but we see the reinforcements coming back in here. And if he can catch a few of these units, I think Future will still end up losing this fight.
Another fight right south of the Salamanca Watchtower. Definitely very strange. Cyclone lock-ons trading fairly evenly for both players. Both players reinforcing one by one. They're fighting this battle over a useless piece of land by the Salamanca Watchtower. And yeah, Future's going to come out on top, but Grant, these players have been trading absolutely too much this game. It's dead even right now between who has lost more resources in these recent battles.
I mean, resources lost generally. PureLegacy is behind, which I find surprising. I thought he'd been more cost efficient, but I guess he did lose like a huge amount of Vikings compared to his opponent. And also he's not lost anywhere near as many Cyclones. A very weird game. I guess the tanks is the big one, right? Yeah. I mean, 3-3 coming in here for our red Protoss Terran. 2-2 coming in for our blue Terran again. I don't see it as being massively influential. The Hellions benefit, but the Cyclones more benefit from the armor. Oh, this is odd.
3 Ravens going to help out a whole lot for Future. Even though he loses 1 Raven, he's still got the 2 available, and they're going to be building up a lot of energy, Grant. The Cyclones locking on here to the Planetary Fortress. That will go down. Very nice kill there, and of course the Hellions can help clean up these SCVs instantaneously. A rough loss for PureLegacy, who drops from about 80 workers to 67, and look at what Future's doing, Grant. 110 workers. I gotta be honest, it does feel a bit like he's styling on PureLegacy just a bit here, perhaps a bit of a playful bad manner from Future, going up to 110 workers, a number unheard of, Grant, in almost any matchup.
That's wild. I've never ever seen 110 workers. I don't even think I've seen a Zerg player go that high. I've seen Raynor hit 100 every now and then. 110 is ridiculous. Way too high. And if he's styling, I'd be against it, because he's really not playing well enough to be styling, you know? Respectfully, Future has been sloppy in his fights. I mean, this game is pretty much over. He did manage to win some big trades. He's getting a lot of bases, and just like that, GG. We're going to map 3.
Yeah, finally, Future pulls out a win there and gets out of it. I think really the interesting part about that game was Future going up to 110 workers. Game 3 has a lot in store for us, Grant. I think it's going to be exciting to see what they go for. We've seen mech 2 games in a row now from PureLegacy. Future matching in mech for mech in game number 2, and we're going to see what game 3 looks like.
Yeah, it's insane. That was a very odd game, I have to say. Both players trading back and forth, looking at the graph. PureLegacy was ahead for a lot of that game, and then in the first game, Future was ahead for a lot of it. So now we move on to Blackburn. We even get a strange map to end things off on, and this is a very interesting TVT. Of course, I am not a Terran player, neither is Creighton, so it's kind of hard to break this down and successfully.
No, Grant, I disagree. I think it's not hard to break this down successfully. We saw bad transitions from both players. We saw mediocre fights on both sides, and they're both just playing very sloppy right now. I think they had a lot of trouble parsing what happened in game number 1, and I'm excited for game number 2. Even Future, the chat, is saying this series maybe not as good as it possibly could be. PureLegacy admitting that he's very slow. This is a tough fight, Grant. They're playing difficult styles to execute well, and they're not executing those styles well, and it absolutely does not matter. That you and I aren't GM Terran players. Anybody can watch these games and say that this is not top tier Terran play from either player.
Yeah, it's spicy. It's a very strange series, especially as someone who, like for myself, I mainly cast EU players. When you cast a lot of Clem and then you cast this, it's different. But it doesn't matter.
It allows you to see the absolute breadth of depth. Pardon me. It allows you to see the absolute depth of skill that the absolute top players have, Grant. And that's really the big difference between the top players and Future and PureLegacy right now, where it's just, an extra 2% at the top of their game makes a massive mile of difference. But let's put all that behind us. Hop into game number 3, Grant. Fingers crossed, we'll get something that's worth being excited about here between PureLegacy and Future in the 3rd game of this series.
Let's hope so. Our player on the bottom right, he is 1-1 in the series, the blue Terran player from the United States of America. Teamless, it is PureLegacy.
His opponent in the bottom left-hand side in the red, representing Team Alpha X and the favorite to win this series. Surprising that he dropped map number 1. Let's see if he can pull him back in map number 3. It is Future.
That was a bit early. I'm meant to be following your camera anyway.
You are, and it looks like this game not going to go very long, Grant. PureLegacy going for a double proxy Rax. Let's see if Future gets the beat out. He did not see the SCV coming across. That is bad news for Future.
Is he proxying too?
He is.
Oh, this is a weird game already. Okay, double proxy Rax against double proxy Rax, right? I know 1 Rax at home here for Future. So the good thing for Future is he is able to rally home. And can I see the position of that Rax, please, Mr. Creighton? The proxy one? How close is it? It's able to get up into the main very quickly by going through that slow zone to its, his own main to defend. It's able to get up there very quickly, so Reapers can just get back and defend relatively easy. Defender's advantage will be there for Future, as he does have that Rax plus his SCVs. So I think Future shouldn't be in a bad spot. He did make a few too many workers. Oh, it's Marauders. Okay, now things are weird.
This is very strange. Double proxy Marauders here from PureLegacy. You said it in game number 1. He's a player who does play an old school style, Grant. And double proxy Marauders is definitely old school. Usually these days, you'll see one proxy Marauder, then complemented by some Reapers or something like that. Seeing both of them coming out is, I think, slightly less orthodox. This is going to be really interesting here with Reapers going down for future. Now, neither player has spotted the proxies of either other player yet. So we are going to see future. Oh, he sees the SCP. Well, now he knows. Now he knows. He's going to bring these Reapers back home. That's a huge, huge pull from future rather.
Yeah, so a massive scout here. Bunker will set up on the high ground. The Reapers will be rallied back into the main as expected here. They do have to go for the slow zone, but really it's a very little distance for them to cover. Reaper grenades will be able to displace these Marauders and these SCVs. The ramp should immediately go up as well, of course, in order to slow this down. It needs to come up. Okay, there we go. And now the Reapers will poke away at the SCVs from max range and bounce them down to deny vision here. This is still difficult, don't get me wrong. This bunker isn't in a great spot, in fact, because it doesn't actually hit anything. This is scary.
Very safe bunker from Future. I think he wanted to make sure that his bunker wasn't hittable from the ramp. Unfortunately, PureLegacy isn't going to be able to get in, and he will supply block Future pretty badly here. Future going to be forced to probably drop a supply depot with this, and he's got to pull these SCVs. This is really, really rough here. The Marauders at the front. There are 5 Marauders, Grant, but only 4 Reapers. Call this game.
Oh, I wish I could. The SCV's doing a pretty good job here for Future, getting a very nice surround. They're starting to take a lot of damage. As are the Marauders. The Marines are offering so much DPS, but the Marauders now coming back on the ramp are doing a lot here. It does look like Future's going to push this back, and behind this, Future's up 12 workers. Future with a perfect SCV pool. He gets another kill here, and just like that, he's going to be able to push this back. The Reapers will be able to chase down this one Marauder, and unfortunately, I can't see any way now that PureLegacy is able to macro out of this. That being said, the series has been bonkers, so who knows, this could be an hour-long game.
Yeah, absolutely wild here. Reaper's going to focus fire down the Marauders. It's nice the concussive shell is finally finished here, of course, but the grenade's going to stop the DPS of this Marauder for just a little while longer. And the Marine needs to join the party and fight this Marauder instead of firing onto the tech lab for God knows what reason. The last Marauder goes down, and with that, I think so do PureLegacy's chances of moving on in this game. 1 Reaper across the map would end this, as PureLegacy has 8 workers remaining. Future, of course, did not lose very many SCVs. Grant, take a look at these SCVs. A lot of them have been healed up, but I think when that push finally came in, something like 10 of the SCVs were in the orange or in the red health. PureLegacy just failed to target fire very well, which is very important when you've got slow firing units like Marauders.
Yeah, and the Marauders forced to constantly step by the SCV pools as well. If they stop, they will be surrounded, and that will allow the Marines to pepper them up nice and good. We are seeing more Marines, more Reapers coming out here from Future. That proxy Rax ends up saving him. He's finally going to send probably a couple of units across the map, and they should be enough to do the damage needed here at the other side, because there is nothing. PureLegacy is all the way in with this build, and it's going to be very difficult. The bunker is nice. Of course, it will melt under 4 Marauders here, even with repairs. It is very, very difficult. They're going to do a good amount of damage. Actually targeting down the SCVs, not certain I like that, because they're not repairing as they don't need to. They probably try and repair each other, now repairing the bunker, but these Marauders are falling down. Look, and just like that, GG, Future takes the series 2-1.